Dear friends, welcome to a new episode of the Interrupter podcast. Today we have a very special guest with us, Nalanie Chellaram. And allow me to introduce you, Nalanie. She was born in Hong Kong. She studied in the US philosophy, psychology, and fine arts. In 1975, she moved to Gibraltar with her husband, Chunky, where for many years she ran a successful fashion business. Then she continued to study philosophy and psychology while running a very popular dance school and raising her two children, Shani and Chaman. In 1986, Nalani formally became a disciple of His Holiness Sri Swami Satchidananda and continued her study of the science of yoga under His Holiness guidance. She has been accredited by the Council of Teachers of Satchidananda Ashram in Virginia, US, to teach asanas, pranayama, and meditation. She's also an accredited teacher, trainer for integral yoga, and a therapist under the British School of Yoga. She is the chairman of the Integral Yoga Center in Soto Grande, Spain, and Gibraltar. She gives satsangs there and internationally. She's also the founder of Service in Satchidananda, a non-profit international collective of charities established in honor of Swami Satchidananda and based on his core teachings of self-service. In March 2008, Nalani received an honor in Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II New Year Honors List. She was recognized for her services to humanity. His Excellency of the Governor of Gibraltar, Sir Robert Fulton, presented her with a certificate and medal in October 2008. Nalani was also awarded a humanitarian award from Virginia, US. As if this is not enough, she has met Mother Teresa, Krishna Das, many other interesting people. She's also the proud grandmother of five beautiful grandchildren. Wow.
Well, thank you for that introduction. You really did your homework, Jamal.
I have to, Nalani, I have to. Thank you so much for taking your time on this Sunday, Nalani. And again, my apologies that it took a bit of time. I needed a bit of time to prepare this because, as you know, on your channel, you have already fantastic videos on topics such as gratitude, self-love. So I was really thinking, how can we really use this time for this podcast to make it special? And well, here we are.
And namaste to you, and it's great to meet you. And thank you for doing all that research. It's great.
Welcome. Nalani, I was thinking maybe we can start with you walking us a bit through your own journey, your own path. What do you think?
Oh, why not? Why not? I mean, what a path. What a beautiful path. What a beautiful journey life is. With all its pains and sorrows and traumas, it is a kaleidoscope of energy and light and darkness. And when you put it together and understand it, it becomes a great journey. Well, I started as a child. I was born in Hong Kong, like you said, to a very spiritual father and a very religious mother. I make difference because religion is one thing and spirituality is another thing.
Right.
So is the sound okay? I'm hearing some.
Yeah, your microphone seems to be moved a bit, is it?
No, I haven't touched it.
Oh, okay, from my side, 1 second.
Sorry.
That could be better.
Okay, because I was, oh, now no more disturbance.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So we continue, right? So my father was a very spiritual man, and he brought us up to believe greatly in God and the power of God. In our house, he had 6 brothers, and we all lived in one big house. And we had a big prayer room on the 2nd floor. And every morning before going to school, we went to the prayer room, and my grandmother would be praying from 4 o'clock in the morning, bow at the altar, and ask for blessings, start the day. So my journey started there. And then I went to a Catholic school, and then the questions started.
So just to ask you, Nalani, so your father, would he consider himself a Hindu?
He was a Hindu, definitely, but he believed God. The real teaching of Hinduism is that God is everywhere. That's why, many people misunderstand.
Yes.
They have so many gods and goddesses to represent all the different facets of the human personality. and emotions. So God is everywhere. He used to tell me that all the time. Yeah.
Well, if I can comment on this, Nalani, that's a great topic because many people misunderstand that exactly like you say. From my point of view, Nalani, I would say Hinduism is not a religion as such. It's more like a pretty open belief system and very inclusive as well. No, that's what we sometimes don't understand from the West because we always think in terms of Abrahamic religions and also sometimes dogmatic belief systems. No, whether it's Islam or Christianity. So that's a very good point right at the beginning. And many people don't know that. They think like, okay, there are those categories, Hinduism, Christianity, Islam, and, like they're all separated. And it's good that you...
Unfortunately, this is what's happening because if you look at every tradition and every religion, the precepts are the same. They're the same. Love one another, peace on earth, as do good, be good. They're all the same. So what happened? Different countries saw the divine in different ways. Of course, I mean, if a Japanese teacher went into America, they wouldn't understand him. So each country adapted the teaching of the divine. So what does man always do? Institutionalize everything. And then politics gets in the way and control and power. And that's what's happened, and which is so sad because all the religions say the same thing. It makes me laugh, how can there be any discord when they say the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, personally, Nalani, I fully agree with that, and I like that you have such an open mind. And I personally, recently, I've become more tolerant. So if someone needs, that institution, that church, that cultural context in order to express their spirituality, from my point of view, that's absolutely fine. You know what I mean? Like, when I was younger, Nalani, and look, my dad is Iranian, my mother is German, so I grew up in Germany. And they're obviously the same, like you will tell us now with your Christian experience. I was going to Christian schools, and I could feel inside that, I wanted spirituality, and obviously the first choice was to visit a church, And then obviously later on, when you grow up, you also see the limitations, you see the rules, you see the dogmatic beliefs, the separation, Personally, Nalini, I would love to hear your opinion on it. I came to the conclusion, look, I will always be completely tolerant. If somebody wants to have it in the Christian flavor, let's say, or someone wants to have it in the Islamic flavor, it's all fine. But personally, I prefer, like you, to have a very open mind and to be careful with like dogmatic beliefs. And like you already said, what people don't understand in the West about the entities, and people who say, no, there's only one God, there's not more entities. Nalani, who are we to decide whether the higher force, is several entities or only one entity? And Nalani, does it even matter? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Do Jamal, it's so interesting that you brought it up, right? Because I can show you this. May I just move back and show
you? Sure.
Okay. So this is a symbol called a Yantra, which is designed by my master. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's just what you said. Here we have truth is one. And here surrounded circles are, the different energies of this earth, right? And then we have the five matter, earth, fire, air, ether, and water. And then the petals represent all the different sources in life. North, south, east, west.
Nice.
Truth is one. Doesn't matter if you have no religion or you're Hindu, Judaism, Shintoism, Taoism, Buddhist, any religion you decide, it doesn't matter. Christianity or Catholicism, Islam, Sikhism, African, and American Indian.
Wow.
And yes, some people need a place. Just like yogis, we need a hall. We talk, we call it satsang. We gather, we need each other as people. So, what does it matter if you go into a Catholic church or a Christian church or a Buddhist monastery or a yoga center? So long as we respect each other. My master would say, don't change your religion, just be a really good person in your religion.
Nice. That's beautiful.
So yeah, so you have the same belief system. So it's really lovely to speak to you too. And I think you being so young and spreading this kind of energy is what we need in the world today. We really need that. More people like you to share this vast knowledge, because today's world is so much anger, so much frustration, especially this year and a half, as you know, and people are losing faith, or they're getting angry, anxious, and we need to raise the vibration.
Yes.
We need to raise the vibration to the real divine vibration, which is love. You know, love is the highest vibration of all. And why are people getting depressed? Because everybody is vibrating at a lower level of fear. So this is what's happening. And as people who are spiritual, we need to keep reminding ourselves who we really are. You know, spirit having a physical experience.
Absolutely. What would you say, Nalani, in that discussion in particular? I was recently reading a book by Shaham Shiva. He has written a lot about Rumi, and he was saying something interesting, and he was a bit critical of this, let's say, New Age movement. He said one has to be careful that with all the things happening right now and so much spirituality also, spreading around the world and consciousness increasing, he said one has to be careful that um, the new movement does not become dogmatic. You know what I mean? Because one could say, you know what I mean? Like one could say, well, you guys, you also have your kind of dogmas in a way. What would you answer to that?
100%, 100%. Because now everything is new age and everything else doesn't work.
Yeah.
Religion's bad. There is no God. You don't speak about God. You talk about energy. It's the same thing we're talking about.
Right.
So also, yes, I think, and even in yoga itself, it's become so commercial. I mean,
Oh.
it's a joke. Leotard, size 8, and I mean, the real meaning of yoga, the word yoga means to unite, to connect with the highest self. So, hatha yoga, the physical yoga, is only to help us keep the body healthy. So we can sit down and be still, as they say in the Psalms, and know that I am God. You know?
Exactly. No, like that's very important. Like these days, people see spirituality as a hobby. They think I go to yoga class, no, and then I go out again and I lead my life. They don't understand that spirituality has to be a lifestyle, no? I mean, there are many techniques, and you are very experienced with all kinds of techniques, right? Whether it's breathing technique or poses or chanting. I mean, there's so many techniques, and I can imagine, Nalini, maybe you can elaborate on this. When you came and you brought yoga to those places, even like Jip, I can imagine, Nalani, that at the beginning there were loads of misconceptions. Some people were thinking, "Oh my God, what's this? A sect coming?"
You got it. Do you know, Jamal? It's so funny you bring this up, because I was mentioning to my students, the world has changed a lot. 30 years ago, when I started in Gibraltar, I was called a witch.
Oh my God.
I was called all kinds of things. And somebody wrote to the Chronicle something very defamatory about me.
No way.
And then my students who were there said, Noni, aren't you going to answer it? And I said, no, why should I give it energy? It's not true. It's not true. I'm just going to give it energy. I don't want to give it energy. Anyway, somebody who only came to my talk one time actually answered it. And I didn't even know. He wrote, he said, you have no right to speak about somebody like this unless you have gone to her talk and witnessed what she talks about. And as I showed my students, I say, you see, I didn't answer, but somebody answered for me. So it was great. It was great. Yes, it was very hard, and I used to get a lot of hate mail. But one of our teachings in yoga from Sri Patanjali, the book I teach, says when somebody is wicked or does not a nice act to you, disregard it. Don't give it energy.
Nice.
So what I used to do is I even wouldn't read it. When I see one or two lines and I could see it was really nasty, I tear it and put it in the bin. And my husband at that time would say, "Aren't you going to read it?" I said, "What?" And make myself sad. And then I don't want to wish anybody bad. That's their opinion. I know the truth. And then emails the same. I just would delete. I didn't have to. It's not the truth. So, but
That's very interesting, Nalani. I have to tell you, and maybe you don't know this. I'm by profession, I'm a financial trader, and
no, I didn't know that.
yeah, I do a lot of work also by basically exposing market manipulation. So I have a YouTube channel where I, explain trading things and expose a lot of market manipulation by big players, to make a very complex topic simple. And what happened, Nalani, that's reminded me of that. When I started this a few years ago, the evidence I was delivering was quite big. So basically, in a nutshell, you could see that the market is, not fair. Like there are certain entities pushing prices around. Now, the response from people towards me showing that kind of truth overall was very positive. But Nalani, there were always those one or two people who just would go against you. I came to the conclusion, Nalani, that whenever you want to do anything significant in life, you have to live with the fact that even if you only spread love, you give things for free, and you're the nicest person, there will be someone who hates you for no reason whatsoever. I mean, no, it is difficult to accept, but that's the reality, no? And what don't they say, Nalani, if you want to be loved by everyone, then sell ice cream.
That is a good one. I haven't heard that one before. Yes, exactly. And if you look at any master or anybody who starts something new like yourself, brings the truth out in the world, it is the absolute truth. But you know what? That is really good for us. And what I learned is the people who hurt us the most helped us to build our spiritual muscles, helped us to be even stronger. And they tested us. And I think it's necessary to be tested because I've always said, how can you really know that you can serve all, love all, and go above all this negative and positive if you don't experience it? So I often thank all those who hurt me. And one of my prayers is, may all our friends, families, and especially those who hurt us be filled with peace and joy, love and light.
Wow, that's powerful.
It's important.
And that's not too far away from Jesus, love your enemies, Nalani, is it?
No, I really love Lord Jesus. I love Lord Jesus. If you go to my little prayer room, I have Lord Jesus, I have Mother Mary. My garden, I have a huge statue of Mother Mary. I have, Krishna, I have Buddha. I love them all, because they all represent that beauty, that kindness, that goodness. Yeah, brilliant.
Nice one. Nalani, okay, so let's get a bit back on track. So, in your own development, right, when you were, let's say, a child, and then you grew up, how would you say, were there like certain moments of epiphany where you had realizations, or was it like a long-term process? Or obviously you said that your dad was already spiritual, so basically you're one of the lucky ones who, from a very young age, got some very good input, no? Which is a big, big advantage as well, no?
Big advantage, and a very good man, such a good man. Yes, I did have quite a few moments as a child, which I didn't understand, but later on got to understand. I think the first great epiphany I had was at the age of 6 or 7. And I really remember that day so well. It was a day like this, raining, and I was looking out of the window. And, I was praying all the time because I was brought up with God. And suddenly I saw an image, and the image was like a human body, but full of light. And inside was all of us, like atoms, millions and millions and millions of people, and homes and mountains and trees and everything in there. And I remember thinking, oh my God, I'm inside God. I must be good. I have to be good. I'm inside God. But then I forgot about it. I was very young, and then I went to a Catholic school. And again, I loved my nuns. I mean, they were like the, singing nuns. They used to sing all the time. And I would say, can I go to church? And they would say they would love me to go to church with them. So they influenced me a lot. And I remember at the age of 11, I would walk to school at 6 o'clock in the morning and join the nuns at the chapel and pray every morning with them for about 2 to 3 years. I look back now and I guess I don't know what made me do that. And the nuns were so kind that let me join them. So, and my father would say, yes, of course, you know.
But Nalanie, was there ever a moment in your life, maybe especially when you became a teenager, where you were a bit also in a phase of rebellion? I remember when I grew up, even if you love your parents, if you love environment, there is a phase where you start to question, no, and you start to maybe be a bit of a rebel as well. Did you have anything like that, or was it always complete purity from the start?
No, I was a rebel, 100%. I disagreed with a lot of Hindu traditions, right? And being a girl at that time, in that era, girls weren't meant to go to university or school. So I rebelled and fought for my rights. And I gave my parents a tough time. And then I went a little bit away from my version of God because, I would say to my dad, if you say God is everywhere, God is everywhere, then why is mom telling me that I can't do this and I can't do that? I'm not hurting anyone. I want to go to dance school. I want to go to art school. Why is she saying I only have to cook?
Sure.
So yes, I was hard. And of course, I broke the mold. My father finally agreed to allow me to go to university because my three brothers were there. And they realized that if I didn't go, I would just make their life miserable.
Nice.
Yeah. So yes, I did rebel, and um, then learned a new meaning of God while at university. I had a wonderful teacher called Dr. Yankai, artist, Hungarian, and he had escaped during the Second World War and moved to America, and he did some wonderful work. And he used to talk to me about vegetarianism, and he used to talk to me about God all the time. And he said, it's like painting or art. You have to do it every day, and then it grows in you. If you paint every day, it will grow in you. Your mind will grow. So he was another great teacher in my life. And I also studied parapsychology, which was very new at that time in 1970. And things like Kirlian photography, which is, by the Russian scientists, and developed this photography where you could see people's auras.
Wow, really?
Yeah, that was in the and so I had this lovely psychology teacher, and I said, I'm very interested in parapsychology. And she said, great. So she taught me about, because not a lot of people were interested. So she was really glad there was this student. And, I wanted to learn about philosophy. I wanted to learn about theology. I wanted to know God. I wanted to know God. I wanted to know God. And the version that I knew of God in those days was punish. And if you're good, to reward you, you're bad, punish. But it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right inside of me.
Yeah.
I judged people like that. If you did something bad, you were a bad person. You did something good, you were a good person. But it didn't feel right. And this parapsychology took me to a world of energies. Because I realized we were energy and we could vibrate energy. And then of course the 70s, 72, 73, 74, flower power, hippies, right? And they peace. So at university we used to talk about things like, why are we here? What is life all about? Is materialism really making us happy? Why are we studying? So these were great, great moments in my life. And I had wonderful teachers.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like that was pretty progressive for the time, isn't it?
Yes, I was lucky. Right time, right place, right teachers.
Wow, interesting. Okay, that makes a lot of sense now, the way you describe it. So let us know, Nalani, when was exactly the first moment you came into contact with Swami Satchidananda?
Actually, I met Swami Satchidananda when I was 5 years old at home in Hong Kong. My father used to invite all religious leaders from all backgrounds home, feed them, give them money, and look after them. That was his belief system. He said he was a businessman and a financial man, and we have to look after the Brahmins or the teachers, the spiritual teachers. So, of course, as Swami Satchidananda came home, and at that time, the movie Moses, the Ten Commandment was out. And when he walked in, he was tall for a South Indian. He broke arms like that. And like I said, I lived with all my cousins. So like 18, 20 of us would just run up to him, pull his hair. And he had the biggest arms and he would hug us. And I remember thinking, he's Moses, and all of us did. And then he gave us yoga classes with the adults at home, and we heard him speak. But at that time, I wasn't interested in gurus and masters as I grew up. He came every year. He was at my wedding in Hong Kong as well when I got married at 20. But I loved him, but I loved him like a grandfather. But I thought, I really love God. I don't need a guru. And that's how I started until I got married, moved to Gibraltar in 1975 when things were very different, with the border closed. Coming from university, I found it very hard. No family. Coming from a family with lots of money. And then coming to a home that we had to sort out that was full of cockroaches and rats. And I mean, I really felt like Cinderella, right? So it was a great epiphany for me, actually. It was an awakening. It was a real awakening. And I remember my husband said to me, darling, if you are not happy, go home and let me make some money and I'll call you back in 2 years. And I go, no, I married you for better or for worse. This is worse. We'll get through it. And
allow me to interrupt you there, Nalani, and we briefly talked about it before. It's a bit of a different topic, but like we said, no, you and your husband, you were twin flames, no? And the ones who are familiar with this concept, and thankfully more and more people understand that, even though it's not mentioned anywhere in mainstream media, unfortunately. That's one of the things which is a bit sad, that in the mainstream you see so many misguidance, and there's a big spiritual secret, which is that many of us have the chance to find the twin flames in their life, which are not only your soulmates, but like a reflection of yourself, a mirror of yourself, and a very, very, very close connection, which makes you very happy, and which makes a lot of problems obsolete. And I think, like also the way you write about your husband, there was definitely a powerful connection between the two of you, So I guess you knew in that moment when he said, maybe look, we go there, we do our own thing. I would imagine that you knew, okay, I have to play my part and I have to be there for my other half, no?
Yes, I really felt that. You talk about twin flames, right? So my husband died, I don't know if you know, 13 years ago. And now I met another twin flame, which is very rare in one lifetime. All right. Yes. It is extremely rare, which has also taught me that energy splits more than twins.
Wow.
Okay. Taught me more than twins. And people come to reflect you in the time of life and the period of life to give you what you need to learn. So, for example, my husband was quite a traditionalist in the sense of he believed male was superior to female. And I didn't, of course, right? But he was so good for me and I was so good for him because he realized, that actually we were equal. And he was so good for me because I realized I had to accept it and love him unconditionally. So we both had a great journey together, sometimes a bit fiery, but we grew with it. We grew with it. It was growing up. And the wonderful thing, Jamal, I was a bit spoiled. I didn't realize I was.
Right.
And When something would go wrong, a little thing, I'd cry. I just cry. And he used to tell me, don't be such a baby, grow up. And at
Right?
that time I'd go, oh, no, 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 no. But I realized it's the best thing he did for me. You
Yeah, at that time, that's what you needed, no? In your own development, you needed exactly that other side of the coin, maybe, no? To be
correct.
complete woman.
I
Interesting.
needed that. You see, we are given partners in this world to teach us what we need. And I wish people would realize that. Unfortunately, nowadays people get together because of convenience, money,
Yes.
kind of, oh, you're famous or
Yeah.
you're well known. So it's sad. It's sad because
It's very sad, and let's be honest, Nalani, so many problems come out of that. You know what I mean? Like, and that's true for both the female and the males. The society tells us men, you need to have loads of girlfriends and this and that, and they don't understand that this can also bring you, yourself a lot of damage, rather than finding, like the one partner which really empowers you, which gives you spiritual growth. And what happens is, like you said, Nalani, people get together for the wrong reasons, maybe because optically they fit together or whatever it is. And what happens is, like, they cannot really be happy because they stimulate each other's like wrong sides, let's say, rather than empowering each other. That leads to the frustration, that leads to fighting, that leads to all the issues, which then, can even go over a lifetime in many cases. No, then people get kids, people get comfortable, people have liabilities, and what happens, these problems, they stay there. And that's a big topic on its own, isn't
it
it? But
is. It
it's
is.
a takeaway. I mean, like, thank you for actually covering that topic, because not many people want to go there.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I really I encourage anyone, whether it's women or men, to look inside yourself first. Don't go out there and hook up with someone. Know yourself first. Everything is in yourself. The answers are in yourself. Also, like Swami Chidananda said, no, it's all within you. It's not out there.
Yes.
But that's kind of a concept which nobody talks about in our pop culture, is it?
Yeah. It's so good, Jamal. You're so young and so wise. And
Oh, thank you.
that's wisdom. That is wisdom. Yes, absolutely. And this is why, things are not working, relationships are not working, because they go into relationship for egotistical reasons rather than, I really love you and let's grow together. We're going to have good times, bad times. Life is not easy. When children come along, there's a lot of stress, with the work and the children. But we can do this together. Let's grow and help each other. And that's the concept that has been lost. It's all, can you buy me that car, or that handbag, or that computer, or that latest iPhone? And but
I remember this one story you told in one of your videos on your channel, Nalani, where you said that, for example, your husband was saying, "Oh my God, our retail business is going up and down," and you were stressed, and you said, "You know what? Chill down, let's dance, let's have a good time."
yes, exactly. Exactly. For me, that is the yoga practice. We say, accept the things we cannot change. So, for the first 15 years of our marriage, I tried to change him. Horrible thing. That was horrible. And then when I started the yoga path, I realized, oh, what have I done? I've I've actually, by wanting to change him, I'm saying that I am better than him. How horrible is that? How horrible and untruthful. And and then I got a shock when I realized that. And this came with the power of meditation, actually. Because when I said to meditate, I could hear my mind think. Normally we just think it and we do. And then the egos are in charge, the control. No matter how religious you are, spiritual you are, it still takes charge. You really literally have to know how your thoughts work. And when I saw how my thoughts worked, I got really frightened. And I went to him immediately and I apologized. I apologized that I had tried to do something that I had no right to do. You see, and I learned very quickly we cannot change anyone. We can only, like you said, find it within ourselves. And there I was saying, you have to make me happy,
Yeah.
you know. And what I tell people, when I see depressed people and they go, oh, my life is so bad, etc. And I go, what about your family? What does your husband feel or your wife feel? Oh, they keep telling me that, to try and cheer up. And I say to them, I said, do you ask them how they feel? I mean, I'm asking you, but do you ask them? What about them? Don't you think it's a little hard for them to see you like this every day? I say, change shoes. Just imagine your husband or wife came home every day with a negative attitude. How would you feel? Oh, you see, they get so into I need, I want, I have to have. And this is spirituality. It's not looking at the I, but looking at the us and we all on this journey together. So what can I do to serve you? Not only what can you do to serve me? What can we both do to raise each other? Like you said early on, we're here to raise each other, not bring each other down. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful. Wow, deep topics there for sure. Wow. Yeah. So, okay, let's try to get back on track, Nalini. Um, so you knew your guru at a very young age, right? So, like you said, um, he was like your grandfather, no? You didn't consciously like perceive him as maybe someone who would give you a lot of knowledge later on. Like he was just part of your life as a young person, I guess, no?
Yes. Yes.
Not knowing that, for example, him, like other people we'll talk about in a minute, yeah, changed the world a lot, no, and left a mark. And now more than ever, funny enough, influenced the thinking of a whole new world. No, I mean, like, so where was the moment, Nalani, where you realized, oh my God, like Grandpa is not Satchidananda is actually, like having a huge influence also on the world. Did you realize it, like in your, I don't know, 20s or later on?
No, I was actually 33. Okay.
Okay, okay.
And I was, like I said, when I got to Gibraltar, I was, although I agreed, I was still angry inside, right? And I wanted to go home. I was homesick. I had two kids. So I would, like I said, I just wouldn't leave her. But I still wasn't like, I was always complaining. I didn't like myself very much. So, and then I had some people in my life who weren't very nice to me and, attacked me a lot. So one day, I worked with my husband in the shop. I said, I'm not going to work. I started to cry. And I said, you know, God, what is going on? I try to do my best. I really do. I try to be good. And I'm just so miserable. You know what? If there is a God, I'm not going to believe in you anymore. If there is a God, then you better show me your face or I'll never be good again. I really had a huge argument with God. Anyway, there is a saying, when the student is ready, the master appears. Now, I had not seen Swami Satchidananda since my wedding, 14 years prior to this call. The phone rang. Nalanie, I have been invited to Zanal for the Peace Conference in Switzerland. I know you're in Gibraltar. Can I come and see you? So I called my mom in Hong Kong. Mom, Swami Satchidananda is coming. What do I do? He's such a famous guru. He's Woodstock, and we've known him, but I haven't seen him for so long. Mom, what do I do? And Mom said, you just look after him as if you would your father or grandfather, and make sure he's very comfortable, pay for everything, and just make sure you, bow when he comes and look after him. So I said, sure, Mom, okay. So when he came, I'm not going to go into the details because it's really quite intricate. When he came, everything worked like clockwork. I was living in a little small apartment. And at that time, I was in the retail trade. And I had a client who had a huge villa in Marbella, 10 bedrooms. And she loved me and my husband very much. So I was talking to her, oh, my Guru Swami Satchidananda is coming. She heard about him. Oh my God, I always wanted to meet a real live guru. She was English, right? And her husband. And I really would, Nalini, why can't he stay in my house? Your house is so small. And I have a Rolls Royce. Shanky can drive it. And from the airport, we can give it in style. I will bring two chefs from London and they'll cook food. And I thought, what? It was like, this is a miracle. I didn't even ask. And that's exactly what happened. And while he was here for that week, I'd organized one talk in John Mackintosh Hall as well.
Oh, really? Which year was this, Nalanie?
It was 1989.
Okay, no, I was not in here. Oh my God, okay.
How old are you, may I ask, Jamal?
I'm 36.
You see, you're so young.
Thank you, not so young anymore.
Yeah. So anyway, when we had half the trip there, the last 2 days he was in Gibraltar. But in his presence, I guess I'd grown up. I'd suffered a little bit. I wasn't so proud. I didn't know God anymore. I thought I did, but the God I knew wasn't comfortable for me. So when I saw this great energy, I felt like a light had entered my heart, like an awakening. And I felt this energy seep every single cell in my body. And I felt such joy, such peace. And I thought, this is what God must feel like. Not the agitation, not the fear, not the anguish. But this, wow. So for that 1 week, when he was with me, I felt transformed. Then when he came to Gibraltar to do the talk, I remember my husband had put a big ad in the Chronicle homepage. And as we were going to John Mackintosh Hall, I said to my guru, well, I hadn't made him a guru yet. I said, Swamiji, I don't know how many people will turn up. We may have 7. I don't know why I booked the hall. I was starting to get nervous. How many people are going to turn up? And he said to me, darling, don't worry. You did this with so much love. Whoever will come is meant to come. When we got there, 150 people turned up.
Oh, yeah?
Where they came from. Because I wasn't teaching yoga those days, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't even started. So that night, and this is the absolute truth, and this is the other epiphany. That night, while he was talking, I saw the form change. I saw his form change to Lord Jesus, Arjuna, Krishna, Buddha, an old lady, an old man, and then suddenly lots of different forms. And I'm so dark in skin, I went pale. My husband nudges me, are you okay? And I said, pinch me, pinch me. He pinched me, he didn't know what was going on. So I thought, I'm dreaming, I'm making this up, I closed my eyes, opened it again, and I saw the same vision.
Nice.
So I was in a kind of daze after that. The following morning, Swami Satchidananda was leaving, and I spoke to his secretary, Ramanjali, and I said, I have to talk to you. I have to talk to you. I don't know what's happening to me. I don't know what's happening to me. And I told her what I experienced. And she said, oh, now, few people have experienced what you are talking about, and they have told me. I said, Prem, I don't know why I'm saying this because I never wanted a guru, but I want him to be my guru. I need a teacher. I want to find God. And then she said, ask him. So I went up to him and I said, Swamiji, this happened to me last night. Will you become my teacher? And he just laughed and said, you are always my child. And then I asked him, okay, now that I've experienced this week and you're leaving, how am I ever going to go back to my normal life? He said, Nalanie, do these things. Purify your mind. Keep it clean. Stop complaining Love where you are. Meditate every day. When you are ready, God will use you. And I said to him, Jamal, but I don't know how to meditate. And he said to me, you've read thousands of books, you will know. And I had, but I'd never done it.
Natalie, thank you so much for expressing that. That's fascinating. And I think people watching this, they will maybe understand this whole topic a bit better because, you know, many people have problems understanding the whole concept of a guru. And to be honest with you, Nalani, even myself, I used to be always a bit skeptical. You know what changed my mind? And actually now, after you tell the story, I see so many parallels because I was always reading a lot by Ramdas. And as you know, and yeah, you know the story there, which maybe people can also connect to, is we have this here we have the pictures of Ramdas and Nimkaroli Baba and Swami Satchidananda, all three of them. You know, as you know, Ramdas was this Harvard psychologist, you know, in the US, right? Who had a Jewish background, and then he went to India in the 60s. And when he describes his moment with his guru, I can see like the same, epiphany moments, because at the beginning, he was completely skeptical. It was like, who is this man walking around in a blanket, right? Why are people worshiping him, you know? So what does he want to teach me? I'm the Harvard professor. And then there's this moment, and I'm sure you know it, Melanie, where at the night before, Ramdas had a moment where he was thinking about his mother who had died recently. And when he got a chance finally to talk to Nimkaroli Baba, Nimkaroli Baba said to him, so you were thinking about your mother yesterday? And that completely blew his mind. He was like, this is not possible. I didn't talk to anyone about that, right? I mean, I'm here in India. I don't know anyone. And this man knows something like this. And obviously, there were many other incidences where it was clear, Nalini, that Nimkaroli Baba had what we would say psychic abilities, really. I mean, and look, there are 10 Westerners, right? They have all written about it. There are books around it. For example, Ramdas wrote The Miracles of Love. And, you know, there are all these beautiful stories. And you know what I realized, Nalani? For many of us here in the West, it would definitely make us surrender by seeing something which we can't explain with our rational mind, right?
Correct.
But the problem is not explained to me. So obviously, when you look at those two beautiful stories right in front of our eyes, and it's a true honor, you know, to discuss all this. I mean, who am I to, you know, discuss all of that? But you know what I mean? And that's so beautiful. What made Ramdas surrender completely was that when he realized, okay, whoever this man is, he knows something I have no clue about, and I need to surrender. I need to become a devotee. I want to know what that is. And as we know today, Nalani, the whole idea from the big picture perspective was that he was one of the communicators who came back to the West and brought a lot of knowledge, right? A bit similar like you, really, in a way, you know, like who was communicating all this beautiful knowledge which we need today to our society.
You know, funny enough, you mentioned Ram Dass because the first book I read on meditation was by Ram Dass.
Oh.
Yeah, and I didn't even know him at that time, you know, and I read the book about that he wrote on meditation. So yes, he had a great influence in the Western world, and so did Swami Satchidananda. They came to the West because it needed this spirituality. It had all the materialism, but there was no joy. There was no joy. There was no community. We all know we're all searching, you know, and what it is, we look everywhere, but it's all inside of us. And these great masters, they show us it's possible because they've achieved it. You know, I have an example. When I saw that in Swami Satchidananda, and I had an example for all the years till 2002 when he passed. And all those psychic experiences. It's funny you should mention that because yesterday I was teaching the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, you know, where he does talk about when you are on this path, you do develop psychic abilities. You do, because you know we are much more than what we think.
Yeah.
And you know our brain is so underused, and our pineal gland is so little known. And consciousness, now people know, Stephen Hawkins, everybody talks about consciousness is everywhere, and it's in us. So we can tap these realms of goodness, we can tap them, and these masters come to help us connect. They're like power stations.
Yeah, so you would even say, Nalani, that his presence, when he came to you, his presence basically opened your chakras, made you really transform, isn't it? It's not necessarily the discourse, isn't it, Nalani? It's not that you're sitting for hours and discussing about topics. No, no, no. It's literally the presence, is it?
It is always just the presence. You know, people can give discourses for hours, and you know, I've listened to many, and it doesn't have that. And you know, I go home and I forgot, you know, about it after 2 hours. But when the energy hits you, it is totally different. And that's when I realized that picture I saw as a child of the divine is that we are all connected. And some souls are so advanced, we call them the avatars, right? Uh, and they come to this earth, they choose to come to raise us, you know, to be able to live in a manner that we were born to live in. We were
And
born
Nalani,
to
can I
be
ask you, after this experience in your life, was there ever a moment, Nalani, for example, where you met another enlightened being and you had a similar feeling? Or would
I,
you say it was like completely unique?
this was completely unique. This is completely unique. But I did meet, like, for example, when I met Mother Teresa in Hong Kong, right? My father had arranged for her to give a talk at the India Club. It was in a garden, and my master was still alive. And I remember just walking and sitting down. And when she walked in, she was so tiny, you know, she's so little, so little. And she started talking. I just couldn't stop crying. Her goodness, her love for Lord Jesus, because her love for Lord Jesus and seeing Lord Jesus in the prostitute, in the thief, and everyone, her love that seeped through. So she didn't say much, you know, she really didn't say much. It was a short talk for 15 minutes. But again, her goodness came, and I just couldn't stop crying. I mean, it just touched me. And then many years later, I went to Portugal to see the Dalai Lama. This was after my master passed, and I was missing that energy, that power source, you know, after he passed. And when it happened, it was so lucky. A friend arranged for me to stay at the Hyatt Hotel, and I had no idea that the Dalai Lama was in the same hotel. None of us did, because he had such a troop of people, right? So again, I had given talks in Portugal, in Estoril. So one of the volunteers that was looking after the Dalai Lama attended one of my talks. Look at how life arranges things, right? And he said, Nalanie, what you doing here? I said, well, I always wanted to meet the Dalai Lama. And he said, he's coming now in 10 minutes. And I said, do you think I can get close to him? He said, I will get you close to him. So what happened is he came in with huge, you know, so many bodyguards. And this was the lift, and I was here. And his other bodyguard who knew me took me towards him. I looked at him and I said, I am a disciple of Swami Satchitananda, and I am longing to meet you. And he goes, Satchitananda, because he knew him, right? And then I said, can I hug you? Sure. And then I got a photo of him hugging me, you know? And he was so lovely, and that was my again, that energy field. I could feel that energy field. And that's quite, you know, that is quite amazing, that feeling.
Do you think, Nalani, that right now, while we are speaking, that around the world there are actually thousands of people like this, but most of them are not known? Or do you think it's a very low number of people who have reached a very, very high level of enlightenment, and these are the ones who leave the mark, like Jesus, like, you know,
Ramdas, Swami Satchidananda, and
yeah,
yes, I believe of that stature, that sincerity,
yeah,
that purity, there's only a few.
yeah.
I believe there are many great souls that are doing wonderful work in the world. Many, many, many. And I think they're growing in numbers. I'm really excited about
Yeah, yeah, Nalani, I'm so, optimistic and excited. I think this time's amazing, Nalani. We are seeing the world waking up, if you ask me, like I'm not pessimistic at all. I mean, people get confused because they see a lot of negative things happening for sure. But as you know better than me, friction is a good thing, disruption is a good thing. It can lead
yes.
to better development, right? Um, but these stories you're telling, they're fascinating. They're absolutely fascinating, and for some people they are mind blowing, and some cannot even believe it because. But thanks God, we have so much evidence also these days. Look, when it comes to Neem Karoli Baba, and that's maybe something people should understand when it comes to gurus. This man, he didn't have any possessions, right? He gave everything away. He didn't have. He was the other thing, and maybe you can comment on this as well. He had lots of humor. People have this idea there's this man sitting with a long beard and very serious and telling knowledge. Well, Nikari Baba all day was just joking and mocking people. You know what I mean? Like he had loads of humor, and as you know, the universe has lots of humor. So that's what fascinated me a lot by Randa's descriptions of the time with him. And like we said before, Nalani, it's not that he was spreading some very complex knowledge. He was living by example. He said, love everyone. Always tell the truth. Simple messages which obviously still to this day are relevant and are difficult. Love everyone, Nalani. What does it really mean? Love everyone. That means, like we discussed at the beginning, the one who's saying, you are this, you are that. You should love them. That's easier said than done. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Do for most people, but it's so freeing when you learn to do that. And I love teaching because many people come to me and they go, oh, this one, and I say, oh, learn to love them. Now I can't. Okay, then be caught in misery for the rest of your life. You loving them is making you unhappy. You don't have to be near them. You don't have to be near them. Don't. But send them love from afar, and you will free yourself. Yeah, but yes, these great souls change our life too. I mean, I cannot imagine my life without these teachings. And like you said, they're really simple. Our master, Sri Swami Satchidananda, was so funny. He loved cars. I remember when he came to Gibraltar one evening after he had given a talk. This is the second trip. We're walking down Marina Bay. There was no Ocean Village in those days. And Marina Bay. And somebody was working on a car. And Gurudev went up to me and said, oh, is it the carburetor? He started talking to him. Said, do this and do that. It was so amazing, so normal.
Wow. Absolutely. I mean, wow, this is incredible, incredible. You are so lucky, Nalani. You're really lucky as well, no, to have this direct first-hand encounter, experience, initiation. Did you ever think, Nalani, oh my God, now he chose me as the communicator? That's a big job. Did you ever think, oh my God, this is a huge job? Did it ever? Yeah.
Yes, I still do. I still do think it's a great job.
And a great responsibility as well, no?
Yes, it's a great responsibility. And in fact, when I first started to practice, I practiced on my own for 5 years before I even started to teach. I did not want to be a teacher. I did. I wanted to learn. I wanted to study. I just wanted to be in the background. I really did. I just wanted, really, like I said to you, I just wanted to know God, right? And whatever God was, which my interpretation now is love and light, and is in everything and everyone. So I really wanted to. At that time I didn't know that. I hadn't understood that. So, but then he called me up. Nalanie, when are you going to start teaching? Greta, but I haven't had any formal teaching. I'm just reading my own books and meditating on my own. And for 1 year, he said this to me. And then I know this sounds corny. It was just before Christmas. I have dreams. I've always had dreams. When I used to teach dancing, I used to see the whole dance in my head before it was done. So, and I thought everybody had those kind of dreams, right?
Like synchronicity.
Yes, yes, always, always. I just always saw things, right, in my dreams. So I had a dream, and I know it sounds corny, but this wonderful angel came to me, and she said, "You are so selfish." I was sitting in a park in the dream with a friend. She said, "You are so selfish. We have given you this knowledge, and you are just so scared and selfish. You just want to help yourself." And then I said, "No, it's not that. It's, I don't think I'm ready." She said, "You're ready, so just do it." And then I woke up. So what I did was right after Christmas, I booked a room in the community center. And I said, "I'm not going to advertise." A few people had asked me. This is how I started. Uh, During those 5 years of working alone, "Nalanie, you've changed. What are you doing? You look so peaceful. What are you doing?" "No, I'm just meditating. Can you teach me?" "I'm not a teacher." So what happened was I just told those few people, and I thought, okay, nobody will come, and then I don't have to do it. I listen to the end, right? And I don't ever have to teach again. 12 people came. And in fact, one lady said, "Well, I'm coming because I'm just interested. If I don't like it, I won't come back." I said, "Great." And she said, she was shocked by my reaction. I said, "Well, it is my duty to do it, so I'm going to do it. But then it never stopped. Then it grew and grew and grew and grew and by itself. And there were many times one time I called my guru. I said, "Gurudev, so many people are relying on me. I don't want to hurt anyone. I don't want to do anything. I have so many imperfections myself, and I'm always honest about them, but I don't want to cause any harm to anyone." And he said to me, "Darling, don't worry. Whoever will come with you, I will protect them." And I said, "You promise?" And he said, "I promise." So, phew, I was.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's basically like the power of the universe giving you a tailwind, no? And making things happen, even though maybe at times everything looked like very unlikely and you were like, "Ah, no, this is not gonna be big and like it will be over in 1 year or something, no?" And then suddenly the universe gives you a big push and changes, the society you live in. I mean, that's amazing. I just wanted to say something that which came to my mind when you described, "Oh, I want just to have my teaching and my truth. At the beginning, I didn't want to teach." That reminds me a bit of Bhagavan Das. Maybe you read his book. That was the person who introduced Ram Dass to Nim Karoli Baba. And actually, in this book, he tells a story that Nim Karoli Baba actually wanted to call Bhagavan Das Ram Das. But Bhagavan Das said, "Look, first of all, I don't want to go back to the US. I don't want this responsibility, to bring your teachings over. I don't want to communicate." And what I think after I, read all these accounts, he was the one basically who, and that may be a bit selfish, I don't want to judge, but the one who took all this knowledge and all these experiences and who was also always chasing to find the next big thing. He went also to Tibetan monks afterwards and, to all kinds of different gurus. He was always like on the run. But then Ramdas was the one who basically took over this job and he went back to the US and brought the knowledge. So I think in our life, these are big choices, no? Imagine you would have said, "You know what? I don't want to teach. I don't want to be out there. Leave me alone. I want to just, have my own, practices." I guess you did the right choice by saying, "You know what? Okay, I do, as you want me to do." And that brings me to a question I wanted to ask you, Nalanie. Do you believe that all of us have a certain function or role or even mission, for the lack of a better word? Do you believe that, or do you think that it's not like that? What are your thoughts?
I totally believe that.
Me too.
And that's what we're searching for in this life, each one of us. Some get waylaid and, by all the materialism or materialism materialism is good. Look, I have a beautiful home, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Right.
But so long as you're not caught by it, you know. Um, and yes, I think everybody is special. I can't say I think, I know. I really know that. I've worked with many people of all different walks. I've worked with prisoners. I've worked with people who believe they've done horrible things. I I have seen deep inside all these people, there is such a light. There is such a light. In fact, such a light that I actually wrote a poem about it in my book, Divine Grace. And and it's a poem. I don't see that. And it's something like, you tell me that you're bad and life is so sad, but I don't see that. I see the divine in people. And yes, yeah, and it's very exciting for me, like many of my students now, because I've been doing it now for nearly 30 years, are doing wonderful things out there in the world. And for me, they're finding themselves. And what is finding themselves is living in this pure way like you are, you know, and helping the world to become better. You're very brave to bring out the truth in the financial world. You're very brave to say the truth because it is the truth. It is the truth. The rich are getting richer, and
Yes.
the middle class is even being wiped out now. What's
Yes.
going on? What is going on?
Yeah.
Where is humanity? Where is humanity? And we talk about pharmaceuticals. We see it everywhere.
Yes.
There are more people sick today than there's ever been.
And you know what? Nalini, thank you so much. First of all, I'm really honored. And in that context, you know what I realized, Nalini? The most powerful thing is the truth. It may be really uncomfortable for some people, but for some reason, if you tell the truth and if it comes from a good intention, a good place, the universe has your back. When I was thinking back then, really, Nalini, should I really publish this? Some people may go after me, for example.
Yes, it might be dangerous.
And I even received threats and all that. But you know what? If you have no fear, and as you know better than me, Nalini, if you develop spiritually, at some point you lose your fear. You lose your fear of death as well. I mean, you know that everything just is reincarnation. You also know that, Nalini, on the high consciousness level, we're all one. There's complete oneness. Anyways, you know what I mean? Like, we're all one. And that's something really difficult to grasp for some people. But maybe hopefully with more, consciousness, they understand that there is no real separation. All the separation is an illusion anyways, But in that process, Nalini, of us as a collective realizing it, of course we need people who are a bit of a rebel, who disrupt, who provoke, who put out truth, you know what I mean, who are bold. I think this is necessary. And for me, and there are many other things, like I really respect people like, let's say, conspiracy theorists. They may be wrong on some topics, fine. But, to have the courage to go out there, to give an alternative worldview, to open people up to this complete blind slavery. I think this should be honored. And this is not only why, for example, personally, I'm completely against shutting these people down. I personally believe, let all the opinions out there. Social media shouldn't ban anyone. They should allow all the opinions, and people have discretion themselves to decide, I believe this, I don't believe this. This man has a topic I believe in, the same man may have another topic I don't believe in. I'm really against this idea of, limiting the freedom, which we just experienced, Nalini, because, as you know, the internet has brought us all together. I mean, look at this, Nalini. We're sitting in different countries. We talk about people from different countries. This is a dream. Like, the knowledge we can share right now with anyone who wants to watch it is fascinating. So, I think in this process, which started already, there will be friction. People will be shut down. There will always be dark forces. Maybe that's something we can also touch upon a bit. That, because, as you know, Nalini, we all also have our shadow sides.
Yes.
How do you deal with that? Because when you grow up spiritually, you understand the love and the good things. How do you befriend also your own shadow?
By working with it, by facing it, by facing the worst part of you. Like I said, in the early days when I first started to meditate, I saw the worst part of me. And then to accept it, not judge it, forgive it, let it go. And, I said my sorries, and move on and just let it go. No guilt, no fear. I done it. I had to learn this. I've learned it. We have to face that side of us. We cannot pretend it has to come out. And then once you face it, you don't give it. You don't allow it to grow in you. If you don't water it, it's not going to grow. So what do you water instead? We have a practice called Pratipaksha Bhavana. You start to introduce beautiful thoughts in your mind, and our mantras are like that,
Right.
May see good in everyone. May all be free from suffering, May all be filled with happiness. So if you are having these thoughts in your mind constantly, 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 then the dark side no longer has space in your whole psyche anymore. Yes, there is a dark side. Like on this earth, there is, the world will always be like this. There will always be villains and there will always be heroes, right? And the yogic art is to bring as much peace, acceptance. Through acceptance, there are two sides to every story. There's two sides to a coin. It takes two hands to clap. And truth is one, paths are many. So we need to accept this. And for the yogi, when people talk to me about these theories, oh, what should I do? Da, da, da. Just tell them, my only job is to maintain peace. My belief system is this. Yours is this. Fine. So glad for you. And I really accept that's what you believe, but this is my belief system. There's no right and there's no wrong. I may be wrong. You may be right. But I'm not saying that. But my gut tells me this is right. And all I want is peace. I don't want to lose a friend over difference of opinion. I said, and one thing my master used to say, as an example I always use, he used to say, you go to a you have a group of friends. One person likes Chinese food, the other one likes Italian, other one likes Indian. You don't argue about it. People like different foods, One day you go to Indian, next day Italian. Do you see? So why can't we do that with people's opinions?
Exactly.
So I often ask my students to don't get involved in the muck. Know what you think. Research everything. Be really clear for yourself. If people need your advice, they will ask. But don't give it without them asking because they don't want to hear it. So hold. And then if you're going to give advice, give it from a place of love and peace and acceptance. It's a hard one to do. It takes many years of practicing.
And that's a big topic as well, Nalanie. And that's what people should understand. Like a person like you're not trying to convince anyone, right?
No,
Anyone has the right on their own path. People, if they want to follow their own path, you know what? They even have a right to do it. And that's what people need to understand. They can consider you and your work for wisdom. They're not forced to, like it's there for them to look at. If they're not ready yet, for example, okay, maybe one day, if someone just says, I don't understand it, and this is too far away from my imagination, and I need to live in the 3D world, fine, like that's always something people should understand. I can imagine that when you started, and then people get skeptical and they think you want to convert them. You don't want to convert anyone.
Please no. And I tell my students the same. I said, we're not here to convert anyone, and we're not here to push ourselves. People want, they know we're around. We have a website, we have this, they know we're around. And if they don't want, that's absolutely fine. But please, because sometimes when they get very excited, they force people, their husbands or their wives to come and say, please don't do it. What you do is, if you feel you've learned anything from me, you go home, don't lecture them. Be the example.
Right. So live by example.
Live by example. In our Bhagavad Gita, there is a saying, the wise will not disturb the mind of the unwise, but instead show them by example. We're not here to disturb people. And the wise, we're not saying we're wiser. What it's saying is we have understood that we are spirit, We've confronted death, which is man's worst fear. We understand there is no death, just movement. So, but many people have not understood this. And it's really quite interesting. The thing that interests me about the human beings is we all know that we're going to die, and how many people even address it. Because if they addressed it, they talked about it, then they would know how they would want to live.
Nice.
Because our time is short.
Absolutely. Life is very short. No?
Yeah, and our mission is really is to be the mission is to yoga mission is to know God.
And maybe as a last topic, Nalani, we have to accept that. No, sometimes, Nalani, I have like the stress, and I think, Jesus, I want to do all these things, I want to do this, I want to do that, this book, that book. And, I feel sometimes a lifetime is not enough. You know what I mean? But then I guess the right way is to accept also, look, do what you can in the time you were given, right? Live it, and, also enjoy the journey, no? Otherwise, what's the point? No, but let's be honest, Nalani, it's sometimes difficult. I have to constantly, how can I say, tame myself a bit as well.
And the secret is meditate. Do you meditate every day?
Yeah, sure.
Right, that will help you settle that one, the impatience.
Yeah,
And have the goals. And
yeah,
just know they will happen when they happen.
yeah.
And it's so important to live every day. I always, when I first started teaching, used to tell my students, don't just yoga is the only thing. Yoga is everything. Spirit is everywhere. So when you leave here, go home, look after your partners, give them love, give them care, look after your children. If they need you, then don't come next week, because your yoga is learning to serve, love, give where you need it the most. But do it with peace and do it with joy, and this is the action to live every moment. So patience is required. And of course, when you are intelligent and young, you want everything to happen very quickly. May I tell you, take your time. Before you know it, you'll be my age.
Exactly. What has helped me a lot, Nalani, is also the morning routine. When I do like morning mantras and I thank, the universe for everything, that may sound so simple, but the truth is, by putting yourself in this gratitude state, you can't have things like anger or something. It's impossible. So by these simple practices, and you have taught a lot, and please, everyone watching this, please check out Nalanie's channel. She has many good videos, and it would be awesome that if more people look at them, because she has really those topics all there, where she talks about, different mantras, different practices you can do, So what we can't do in one podcast is go through everything, We didn't even get to half of the list of the topics. But this was just amazing, and it was a true honor, Nalani, and it was amazing how you were describing those things. These are true nuggets, and in the future we have to do another one.
Jamal, it's for me. It's been an honor to meet you too. Like I said, so young, and so and wanting to share this with the world. It's so important. People just see so much, either very superficial stuff, or also a lot of negativity. And this is raising the energy level of our world. And the young people, you have to do it. It's your generation.
Yeah.
We need people like you. And I get so excited when I get young students and I want to learn. I say, sure, just come anytime. Because I'm like, I'm going to be 67 this year. And whatever I can share, I'll share, because it's made my life so beautiful. And I've suffered a lot of pains, but they haven't seemed like that. It's just like a journey, a really interesting book, and life is a book. In fact, the hardest journey I had was the loss of my husband, nearly 13 years ago.
Maybe you can talk a bit about that, because one can feel the connection you had.
Yes.
And maybe also as a bit of the personal question, how do you, because that's also something I'm sometimes afraid about. What happens, Nalani, when some of your closest people go, the ones who really know you like nobody else, like the ones who you have gone through ups and downs with? how did you, I mean, tell me, Nalanie, at this point, were you so far developed that you could cope with it much better, knowing that he's watching you right now, that
Yes,
he's not gone anywhere? Or
yes.
was it like that you had to go through a period of, like sadness? How was it? Or did you say, look, I just let the sadness out and then I get back on track? Explain it, please.
Okay, I actually written the book and it's coming next week.
No
It's
way.
Yes, it's called, finally, after so many years, it's called Loss, Life, and Love.
Loss, life, and love.
Yes, and I explained the whole process there. I don't know how people lose somebody so close, how they do it when they don't have the spiritual knowledge. I
Me
don't.
neither, Nalani, me neither. I don't get it.
I don't get how they do it. The pain and the bitterness must be horrible. And
Yes.
I've seen that. I've seen that in people. I've done a lot of death counseling now. And well, because I had been doing so much counseling for people who had lost a partner, when my husband died, I knew it would be painful, but I didn't expect it that bad. But I was very blessed. My two children really stuck by me for the first few months because my daughter just had a third child who was special needs. And my son just moved to Hong Kong. He came and resettled me. But I felt like I knew about pain and I just knew just be patient, accept the thing, accept it. And all I could think of is what can in the beginning you just feel I've done all I've done. I wish I could go too.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I would think.
But it wasn't my time. But I knew Jamal, my husband was okay. I knew because 6 weeks into the pain, I prayed so hard that he would give me a sign. I got a sign. I really got a sign that could not be mistaken. For 20 minutes, I saw this bright shimmering light right after I asked. And this is true. And I know there's no death. And after that, I said, I got to get on my feet and get to work. Accept the pain. So I lived with the pain.
Because that's what he wants you to do, isn't it?
He did. And he said, people I didn't even know afterwards, it would come up to me and said they would dream about my husband and give me messages. And, one of the messages was, oh, I'm really sorry that I didn't agree with your path, but thank you for all you taught me. Do you know? How would they know something like that? So anyway, life, the book will explain it all. I'll give you a copy when it comes.
For sure. I mean, please keep me updated, and for sure, maybe after I read it, we can do a podcast only on this or something in the next month or whatever, because that's a big topic on its own,
Yes,
and
it is. Death is.
wow, but that gives a lot of strength the way you describe it, and I guess it still appears in your dreams now and then, doesn't he?
Yes, of course. Death was in the book is the death was my teacher, right? And service was the healer. Service and love was the healer. That's the healer. Just serve, love, give, and you heal. When you see so many people suffering, there's so much we need to do. We really, for me, I see so many sad people. I just want them to be, oh, let me give you some loves. I could, I feel like a mother,
Yeah.
I want to nurture them. I love people. I
But
love
you're able, with your projection, you're really able to project that out there. And now I understand, because people always say, he's Nalani, he's really special. And I guess what they feel is they feel your love, and they feel also the love of your guru through you, isn't it?
Yes, 100%.
I mean, it's like he shines through you, and this is basically going on still and will go on, isn't it? What a Nalani, what a blessing, don't you think sometimes? Oh my God.
Do you know, I feel deeply humbled, thankful for this blessing. I'm so humbled by it. Yes, you're right. It is, and I never forget that. Not every single day. I'm grateful for that. And your secret, gratitude, is the secret to life.
Wow. Okay, Nalani, final question. What's for you and for the future? What is your next level, let's say? I always ask at the end of those podcasts, like, so for you, what's the next thing? Like, I would imagine somebody like you who who certainly is operating at a very high level, has seen everything and has developed a lot of, skills and abilities and knowledge and wisdom. For you, what's next?
Jamal, I don't think. I just get up in the morning and I'm alive. And I just say, thank you, divine energy. And my partner's the same, which is so blessed. I'm so blessed. We just thank the energy. I meditate for 1, 2, 3 hours, whatever it is. And then I take the day. Each day is new, obviously. And now with COVID, it's so nice because I really can live in the moment. I don't have to travel so much. Normally, I'm traveling every month to give a talk or a program somewhere. And now I can just do it via Zoom every Wednesday. It's great. And once a month on Saturday. And that to me is like, it's been great. I mean, I really don't think I get up in the morning, make breakfast, cook, clean. This morning got up at 4 o'clock because the rain came in and our patio got wet. And I was just giggling with God. And, every day is new. Every day is a blessing. I don't think anymore. I just ask that I don't hurt anyone and just to live a simple, pure life. I really am so happy as I am. I have no desire for anything. I really don't. I'm just grateful. I'm sorry, I'm so boring.
It's not boring at all. And you know what? That's a way. It sounds so simple, but to get to such a state, where everything is flowing and you are aligned. I think that is true happiness, and that's true consciousness. And if I guess all of us have the chance to get there one day. Nobody's excluded, but then to get there, it's not a cakewalk. We all know that, right? It has its ups and downs, as you said. You had your own ups and downs. And I guess even today, you also have your bad days now and then, Nalanie, like sometimes.
Don't bother me. If I have a bad day, I'll tell them I have a bad day. It's less and less. And I'm really happy that I'm having a bad day. I can go in my room and read or just meditate. It's quite exciting. I don't judge it anymore. And this thing about getting there, it's always there.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to get realization. And that happens when you practice and practice and you meditate. And one day you just realize there's nowhere to go.
It's no destination, is
It's here. It is here. I found it. And it just happens on its own. It just happens. One day there's nowhere to go.
Beautiful. Wow, that's pure wisdom right there. And wow, I'm blown away, Nalanie. That was absolutely incredible, and I'm really humbled. Thank you so much. This was incredible. We don't want to take more of your time on this Sunday. So really, I mean, let's do another one in the future. You are an amazing, amazing personality. Really, I feel so powered right now. You gave me so much energy right now that that was an incredible talk.
Thank you.
And look, it's fine. I have so many other topics, but we can't do everything in one go. And please, the very last thing, tell us, Nalanie, can you send me the link to your YouTube channels, please? And the link to your books as well, please. And the other one, once you have the link, please send it to me so I can also put those links in the description, and people can find your work, because some people, they see this video and they say, okay, I want to know more, so that I can put those in the description, and people can, read your books and see your videos. Please, I encourage everyone, watch the videos. They're amazing. They're really beautiful. I know these days there's so much content out there and people are putting a lot of content out there, but you have to find the real nuggets. And I think right here we have a really original, amazing opportunity to learn, all of us, and that's what gets me excited as well, and I didn't know, even Nalanie, I really wasn't aware what we have here, just in front of us, with you being here also in our region, that's an amazing asset, and I hope that people appreciate that, because, normally, you have to get your knowledge from places far away, it's not necessarily around you. And let's hope, Nalanie, that once this whole pandemic madness went down a bit, let's hope you can do your events, you can do your talks, we can enjoy knowledge from you. And who knows what's coming in the future, Nalanie, once things have settled a bit, who knows, maybe we can organize something and, bring people together, like you say, it's all about that. It's all, for me, Nalanie, it's all about increasing collective consciousness. That's really what it's about.
You got it. You got it. You got it. And you're doing it. So just be so relaxed in it. And there's nothing to rush to because you're doing it every day. And that's great. It's great to know that. So then there's that anxiousness. I have to do this goes.
Yes.
I'm doing this moment. And you're with your girlfriend, enjoy her, because that's also divine, And then when you're eating, that's also divine.
Yes.
You're cooking, it's also divine. You're writing, it's all divine. And that's when, that's when you're in the present moment.
Exactly. Like you say, the more we want, the more we desire, the more we suffer. No, rather than appreciating all these little gifts we take for granted every single day, right?
Yes.
Even though it's not like normal for a lot of people, even on this earth right now. Yeah. I mean, that's something maybe people also realized with, COVID and all that. They have a roof over their heads, they have something to eat, they have each other, right? I believe really, despite the madness, Nalanie, I think good things will come out of this, and people will be more open, and I think so, Nalanie, really.
Me too. Me too. This is just a churning, and
Yeah.
to make butter and cheese, you have to churn. So we're churning and getting baked so that we can become better people. That's all. A better human race with a new order of more care for each other. Our food is contaminated. So much is contaminated. Forests are being burnt down. Mother Nature's been treated so badly. It's time we look after her. This was necessary for us to think, to stop and think.
Wow, fantastic words. Nalanie, thank you so much.
Namaste. And
Namaste, all the love to you. Thank you so much for this knowledge. And, I wish you from the bottom of my heart the best in the future as well. Keep bringing us wisdom. We need it.
thank you for your time. And thank you for your kind words. Thank
Have
you.
a beautiful evening, Nalanie, okay?
Too. Bye.
Bye.
Yes.